So good morning. Welcome back to Boot Camp. And this is the finale of the time series we've done called Redeem the Time. I'm really hoping those of you that have been here all 3 weeks have gotten some good content from it. I will tell you, this is something that has been new to me. So this is not anything that I've taught for years. This is a new lifestyle of things that I've been learning in my life over the last few months. So it's refreshing to me. It's like almost not struggling with time anymore and finding a lot of peace with my time and staying on track. So hopefully you found some good nuggets in all of this, but we're going to wrap everything up today and kind of tie it all together. But if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we started with a word that honestly, a few months ago, I was not familiar with, and you may not have ever heard, but if you recall, that word was kairos, and that means, just a quick review, the appointed time, it's the right moment, it's the season that requires something specific from you. We talked about how Jesus never operated on a clock. He operated on a calling. Like just that sentiment by itself is freeing to me. Get off the clock and focus on your calling. So we introduced the Kairos question, which is, what does this season require of me? And then last week, we went a little bit deeper with it. We talked about the ruthless yes, the courage to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. We talked about 4 word for word scripts for saying no gracefully without damaging a relationship. And we talked about how the no is not ruthless at all. It's really an act of love. So today we're going to bring it all together because here's the reality. Obviously, we're deep into the second half of 2026, but the year is not over. There's still time, but time is not waiting for you to get organized. So today we're going to work on building a plan for the rest of 2026. And I want to drop this little thing to you too, because the average loan officer, the average realtor right now, and I said average, I'm hoping we're not average. I hope we're all above average, but sometimes even if we're above average, have average thinking, I think, in our lives. Okay. What I will tell you is the average person right now in our industry today on August 5th, either the year has not gone as planned and you're off track. And a lot of people that have, if it's not going as planned and you're off track, you may look at it and feel, is it worth trying to fight to still make this a winning year? Then you have the flip side of it. There's also people that are having an amazing year right now. And you look at August 5th and you think, because I had this conversation with my son just last week, he's already above what he did last year in production, which is great. Here's the danger piece. Sometimes you're at the stage of the year, you've had an amazing year, and you start coasting and you don't complete what God put out there for you to get done and complete. Whether you're coasting or whether you give up, it ends up being where we're drifting through life or we're drifting through the rest of the year that is left here for us to do great things with. And drifters don't win. Like if there's anything we don't want to do is drift. We want to be decisive. We want to know what the plan is, and we need to have a plan. But at the same time, we need to stick to doing the right things, saying no to the right things, and making sure we're living in the season that God has put right in front of us. All right. So we're going to kind of bring all of this together. Let me describe something. It's a little bit of what I've just went through, but I want you to tell me if it sounds familiar. All right. January. Every January, I know for me, energy is high. Goals are set. The new year feels full of possibility. You're prospecting. I'm prospecting consistently in January. I'm disciplined. I'm doing the right things. It's just like people that sign up to go to the gym in January. Really good with it the first 2, maybe 3 weeks even. and then things start to fade. And then August, we're in August, things get busy. A few deals may come in. You slow the prospecting down because you may have transactions in the pipeline. Summer comes, things shift, kids are out of school, vacation happens, the market does something unexpected. All right. I mean, honestly, we've been in a weird market since March, really. But then suddenly, again, here's August. And you look at your numbers, you may realize you're behind, maybe not far behind, but enough that finishing the year where you wanted feels harder than it did in January. That probably sounds familiar to a lot of people. All right, this is the second half fade, and almost every person in sales experiences this. Not because they lack motivation, it's not because the market turned against them, but because of three specific things and very predictable things. And reason number one typically is this: they stop prospecting when they got a full pipeline. And I have done this and I've lived this over and over early on, especially in my career, probably the first decade of my career. I'd get really busy. And when I get busy, I would stop prospecting. But prospecting stops or shouldn't stop when business comes in. All right. The cycle needs to repeat every quarter, every year. You need to keep prospecting. You cannot let up on it. Reason number two, there's a fade. The calendar is filled with reactive commitments. This is everything we talked about last week. It's the yes that you should have said no to. It's accumulated over the summer, and now your calendar is managing you instead of the other way around. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Having a calendar, having other people's calendar manage you rather than the other way around. And then reason three, just never had a specific plan for the second half. You had a January goal, but did not have an August through December plan. And without a specific plan for this specific season, you're going to drift. You have to have a plan. So the good news, every one of these things is completely fixable today. All right. So that's what we're going to work on. So I want to show you something about how Jesus finished. And when you put this verse in context of what is happening, I'm telling you, it's convicting to me of how I look at things and how I finish things. But this verse in John 17:4, it says, I brought you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. Finishing the work you gave me to do. Not most of it, not the easy parts, not the parts that just felt good, all of it. And to me, here's the most remarkable thing about that statement when Jesus said it, because the pressure he was under was extraordinary. His friends, the disciples, confused, scared. He knew he was going to be betrayed just a few hours later. And he also knew, whenever he said this, that the crucifixion still laid right there. Like by any human measure, this was the moment when everything in his life seemed to be falling apart. And what did he say? I finished. Like, how do you maintain that kind of finish line focus when everything around you is loud and chaotic and pulling at you from every direction? Like, honestly, yesterday I had a loan that was on fire. It doesn't happen in my life too often, but I had one yesterday, and it consumed about 2 to 3 hours of my time yesterday afternoon. Now, the fire is put out, all is well, all is good. But when I look at what that fire was in that file, and then I compare it to everybody in my life is leaving me. I'm alone, and someone is going to nail my hands and feet to a cross in a few minutes. And yet I have the courage to go through all of that and say it is finished. Like what he was dealing with and what I deal with or what you may deal with on a day in, day out basis, two different kind of things. Yet he stayed focused on doing the right thing. So I think the answer goes back to what we talked about in week one. Jesus knew that this season in his life was required. He had been walking toward that finish line actually since the beginning of his ministry 3 years before. Every withdrawal, every no, every protected hour of prayer and solitude, it was all leaning toward and pushing him toward what he came to do and finishing what he was called to do. He didn't drift, he finished. And so can you, and so can me. We don't need a perfect market. We don't need a perfect team. I think I've got close to one, but we don't need a perfect market. We don't need a perfect team. You don't need perfect circumstances. What you need is a decision. Right now, in this session, that the second half of 2026 is going to be finished with intention. And then you need a plan that protects the decision. You do not drift into a strong finish. You decide your way into one. You do not drift into a strong finish. You decide your way into one. So let's build the plan together. And it starts, I've got on the screen, it starts tonight. I mean, it's up to you, but I would love for you when you're done with your workday today, or maybe you do it before, but I would love for you to maybe take a picture of the screen and work on these things. So we're going to build the plan. And here's the four components of what I call your have to time protection plan. Component number one, block first. Go to your calendar before you go to bed and block the following things for every week from now through December 3rd. So what do you block? Your daily prospecting block. Now, I said daily. Whatever days of the week you're going to work. Okay. This is another time management thing that I think we need to think on. And I honestly don't remember if I've talked about it in the last 2 weeks, but there is a day off every week that we should have. It's called the Sabbath. It's actually a 10 commandment. All right. So you shouldn't be working 7 days a week. You shouldn't be working 5 days a week. It should be 6. That's actually what's in the Bible. But whatever you're going to do, make sure you're taking at least a day off. But then the days that you choose to work, there should be daily prospecting blocks that are non-negotiable. And when I'm doing this and doing it consistently and successful with it, it has to happen before email, has to happen before social media, before anything presents itself that makes me want to react to it. Okay. Because as soon as I pick up my phone in the morning and check email, I'm not living on my time anymore. I'm living on somebody else's time. I'm reacting to what other people need. So prospecting should be something that is part of our life. Now, here's something else, and this is a whole different class that maybe we'll get into at some point soon. But understanding how to prospect and figure out what is really going to help move the needle in your business is getting in tune with how God wired you. Prospecting doesn't need to look like banging out 40 phone calls in an hour. Now, maybe for some, that's what you need to do. But prospecting for me is actually doing this. God has given me a passion and love to teach and to share things with other people. That's what I like to do. This is my prospecting. Okay. Figure out what your gift is, and that's what you do in your prospecting time block. Do things that will move the needle in how you're wired. We're all differently. Okay. Some people may follow a Tom Ferry plan and blow their business up, but Tom Ferry ain't for everybody. Brian Buffini is not for everybody. The core training is not for everyone. Work in how God designed you, and that's how you prospect. So your weekly planning time, at least 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes. And you need to do it every day that you work, in my opinion. It needs to be part of what is driving your business. All right. So the other things that you block, your personal and family commitments, if they're not in the calendar, they will get sacrificed. So put them in. And honestly, I would encourage you to put them in before the business fills up your calendar. Put the family stuff in, it needs to be there. Block first, everything else fits around the blocks. All right. Component number 2. This is huge. I promise you, this is huge. Batch the reactive. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pushback on this because it is hard for salespeople to digest what I'm about to go over, but it will change your life and it will change your day if you can learn to do this. Email does not need to be checked 40 plus times a day. Texts don't require an immediate response 24 hours a day. They just don't. Social media does not need to be monitored constantly. Choose 2 or 3 times each day to check and respond to reactive communications. Maybe once in the morning, maybe once middle of the day, maybe another at the end of your workday. And outside of those windows, close the tabs, turn off the notifications, protect the block. I just got a new computer last week, and the first 3 days I hated it because I had to go in and figure out how to turn all the notifications off because every email, little pop up, little ding, it drives me insane because it's nonstop. You've got to get the distractions out, and you do that by batching the things together. But this alone, if you just did this by itself, what you will find is every day you'll probably have 60 to 90 additional minutes of focus time you can have each day. Do the emails all at once, 3 times. Do your voicemails all at once, 3 times a day. Check social media if you want, 3 times a day. But that's it. It's not constant. You don't have to pause every time you get a ding with a message or a text. All right. Component 3, delegate and eliminate. Look at everything that's on your plate and ask 2 questions. Can someone else do this? If yes, delegate it. The most important question, maybe, does this need to be done at all? If no, eliminate it. Be ruthless here. The things that are taking your time but could be handled by someone else or dropped entirely are the things that are still in your strong finish. And then component 4, we talked about this last week, and I hope that you did this, but if you didn't, I would go back and do it. Create a personal no list and then honor it. Okay. So, what are 3 personal no's? These are the boundaries that you defined in advance to protect your Kairos activities, the thing that matter most. Write them on a sticky note, put it on your monitor. And for the rest of 2026, honor these things that you're going to say no to. And every time you feel the pull to say yes to something that violates one of the no's, remember why you made the list in the first place. The strong finish is on the other side of that boundary. We have to learn to say no to the right things. All right. So here's a tactic that will also change your life, but it's getting in a good daily morning rhythm. Plans without a daily habit, honestly, are just wishes. Plans without daily habits are just wishes. So I want to give you the simplest daily rhythm I know for staying on mission in the second half of a busy year. 5 minutes every morning before you touch your phone, do this. Ask the Kairos question. What does today require of me? What are the 2 or 3 things that if I do them today, I will end the day feeling like it mattered? Write them down on paper, not a screen. This is something I'm struggling with right now, is getting back to writing stuff down on paper. There's magic when it goes on paper and not just a note on my phone. So, what are 2 or 3 things that if I do them today will end the day feeling like it mattered? That's the first minute. Minute number 2, review your personal no list. Just 30 seconds, read it. Remind yourself what you decided to protect. The list does no good sitting in a drawer or saved in a note nobody ever looks at. Minute 3, set your one win. Write down the one thing that if you accomplish nothing else today will count as a win. One, not 10, just one. Protect that one thing above everything else that you do. That's it. All right. So it's minute 1, minute 2, minute 3. I gave you 5 minutes. Um, so maybe you spend a little bit more time on the first section and the third one, but that's it. Just do 5 minutes of this, 3 to 5 minutes before you pick your telephone up every morning. Think about it, because once you put the telephone in your hand, the moment you look at it, you have just handed your agenda to everyone else. You're now in reactive mode, responding to their priorities instead of leading with yours. Think about this. Jesus gave us this example. He got up early while it was still dark to pray. He got up before the crowds arrived. He got up before even his disciples needed him, before the day could impose its agenda on his. That time in the morning is sacred. It's my favorite time of day is getting up early. Definitely coffee is involved, but just coffee, a Bible, and some notes. Um, it will change your life. But even if you just do this, it will set you on the right path to stay focused on the right things. Now, I want to bring this whole series full circle before we close. Okay, we started the series again with Kairos, um, the ruthless yes, gave you a time protection plan today, talked about the morning rhythm. None of it is ultimately about productivity. And I hope you just got what I said. None of this is ultimately about productivity. It's about legacy. This is the other thing I was thinking on this morning when I was reading that verse in John 17. Jesus said, "It is finished." And when he said that, it was before the crucifixion, which was obviously before the resurrection. Like if you look at when he uttered the words, "It is finished," honestly, if you're looking at it from a third person watching what's going on, his life might have looked like an utter failure. Like he lived his life 33 years, spent 3 years doing this ministry, and then he's going to get crucified. Like that kind of looks like ultimate failure. But he still said it is finished because he knew what waited on the other side. He had been obedient. He had trusted what his dad told him to do. He went through the process. He stayed focused on the right things. He did what he was supposed to do. He completed it. It was finished. Then the resurrection came. Like all that we need to do is stay focused on the right things, not so much the metrics I put out there that I want to hit, not so much the income goal that I may have set back on January 1st. No, it's focused on doing the right thing. It's about legacy. It's about the kind of professional you're becoming. It's about the kind of parent you're becoming, the kind of spouse you're becoming, the kind of person that you're becoming. Because here's what I know about time. This is something wise. I don't say wise things very often, but this is you can always make more money. You cannot make more time. The hours that are left right now between this very moment and December 31st, 11:59 p.m., they're going to pass whether you're intentional about it or not. The time is ticking and they're still going to go. The question is, what will you have to show for when it does? Back to John 17:4, it says, "I brought you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do." What is the work you were given to do in your business, in your family, in our community, and in your faith? And are you finishing it? Or are you letting the urgent crowd Crowd out the important one more day. So, again, tonight's assignment, before you go to sleep, write down the answer to this. When December 31st arrives, and I look back at the second half of 2026, what do I want to be able to say I finished? I want you to write it down and put it somewhere that you'll see it every morning, and then build every week between now and December 31st around that answer. That is how you finish strong. So, 3 weeks ago, I asked you to consider a different way of thinking about time, not as something to be managed, but as something to be redeemed. Kairos over chronos, purpose over urgency, and legacy over busyness. And today I want to leave you with one final challenge with time. I know I just said it, but I'm going to say it again. Before you go to sleep, write down the answer. When December 31st arrives and I look back at the second half, what do I want to be able to say I finished? Like, there's a lot of things I still have on my list, and there's 5 months left to get it done. 5 months from one point sounds like plenty of time, but it's so easy to drift one day, then two, then a week, then a month, then a quarter. The year's over. You can't drift. I can't drift because I really honestly believe, like, yes, I plan on closing a bunch of loans between now and December 31st. However, that's still not my main purpose here. There are so many people, so many clients we have in our life that we've worked with this year that are going through so many different things that I just count it a blessing to be part of their journey. And when we focus on the right things, the money will always take care of itself. So if you've missed week one, week two, they're both on YouTube. This one will be on YouTube if you want to go back and watch it later. I hope this has spoke to you because, again, this is something in an area I've struggled with. I feel like my whole career of trying to manage time. And yes, we need to manage time, but we need to manage it in the right season. We need to manage it by saying no to the things that aren't going to put us toward our goal and to our mission. And we need to make decisions and not drift. Thank you for being here.